Hey everybody, it's Jared with the Comedy Food Truck Podcast. It is fantasy football season, but our fantasy is that you would follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Comedy Food Truck and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know you want to. It's time. Enjoy the show.
Look out!
You're listening to the Comedy Food Truck Podcast. We talk life, food, relationships, and have fun with all of it. And now here's your host, comedian John Hill.
Comedian John Hill. So great to have everybody back this episode. Thank you for your loyalty and if you're a first-time listener, if you would follow us, I'll tell you what, the next 5 people who follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and the next 5 subscribers to our YouTube channel, you will be entered into a drawing to win a Lamborghini. That's right, a Lamborghini.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a Hot Wheels version, but we'll get you a Lamborghini.
Awesome. Comedy Food Truck Edition.
Your lifetime membership in the VIP club.
Nice.
You didn't even know that we had a VIP club,
That's
right? Until now, you weren't cool enough to be in it.
Yep.
But now I'm telling you, you can be in it.
Nobody talks about it.
Right. You know why you're not cool? Because you haven't subscribed to us. You haven't followed us.
Yes.
That's right. I want you to get your stalker vision on and start following us.
Stockton Vision.
Stalker.
I want you to stalk us like that bear behind Scotty if you're watching on YouTube.
Don't turn around, Scott. Do whatever you do.
Don't do it. If you turn around, it comes to life. It's like a gremlin. Yeah, don't do it. You're not fast enough. The bear is faster than you. Yeah, don't annoy him. Don't annoy the bear. Right. What does that look on your face? Why are you? Man. Scott.
Turn your head and cough, bear.
Yeah. Wow. The only good news is the bear just moved up 3 steps away from you now. So it's moving.
It's in the manual. If you're ever attacked by a bear, that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, proper.
Just make it really uncomfortable.
Just make it uncomfortable.
Just make it awkward.
Just go all weird on him. Hi, bear.
I really like bears.
Don't run away. Run into him.
You might think I say this to all the bears.
Right, exactly. Just slide under him. Just do a baseball slide right under him.
I know we're polar opposites.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
Especially if it was a polar bear. That's good. I like that. All right.
I'm just a squirrel.
That's hilarious. It's your world. I'm just a squirrel trying to. Okay. So welcome to the show, and here's the cast and crew of those who will befuddle you for the rest of the time that you listen. First, I got Jared on the left. Jared, how you doing?
I'm chill, John. I'm chill.
Techie tech. Oh yeah, you're chill. Yeah,
I'm chill. Yeah.
Are you? Well, we'll get to it in the show. I'm gonna tell you in a little bit.
Okay.
And then in the middle of I don't know. It's not really the middle on Facebook.
He's the middle of
I
everything.
was gonna say Facebook, YouTube, but Scott.
He's at 5 o'clock, 4:30.
He's the Comedy Food Truck middle finger.
That's it,
Yes.
man.
Yeah. What is that?
In the comedy food truck calendar, he occupies 10 months.
Wow.
Scotty the Body, the
Dude.
Gator.
Yeah.
What's going on, Scott?
Hello.
April through December.
That's right. He's that
Thank you
dude.
very much.
He looks so pretty until he starts talking. Looks so pretty.
A lot of girls I know are like that.
Yeah. Well, it's that milky upbringing. We haven't mentioned that in a few episodes.
No, he's probably glad.
Look at him. He's just shaking his head. He's like,
Resurfaces.
I don't know what to say. I'm just waiting for dinner.
Yeah, just like regular milk, it keeps coming back up.
Yeah, that's right. That's funny. Give you a little bit of gas.
I'm lactose story intolerant.
Exactly. Give me a little gas. I'm like Stockton intolerant. And then finally we have Ray on the show. What's up, Ray, man?
Hi, John.
It's your very expensive looking watch.
Very expensive.
Yeah. What is it? Casio?
It's a G-Shock, yeah.
Is it a Casio?
Yeah, it's Casio.
I was totally guessing.
It's a Casio G-Shock.
Casio?
G-Shock.
You got that? I don't know what that was. All of a sudden, everything,
My shirt almost came off. You sucked in so hard.
everything in my body inhaled except the burp went exhale. That was weird, man. It's like a vortex I just created. Homemade.
It's a Category 5.
I think that's exactly the reaction to the word G-Shock.
Wow.
I just had that.
G-Shock.
So anyway, glad everybody's on the show. Grateful for the dudes here. This is such a cool show.
Dude.
I got a topic today. I don't know when
That's our sponsor.
this will
We'll
come
get
up.
that out
Okay,
later.
so I got a topic today I want to talk about because we're in the middle of August, getting to late August, and so what that means all across America anyway. I don't know about the rest of you listen out of the country, and I know we're very arrogant, and I'm sorry for that. I'm American, but I'm not always proud of it. And the thing is in America, we have this sport we call football, which we're so arrogant we didn't realize it. The rest of the world calls what we now call soccer football, which makes a whole lot more sense because the basic tenets of soccer are you use your feet
Right.
to kick a ball. So football makes a lot of sense. Europe, I give
Lame.
it to you. Everywhere else, give it to you. I don't know where soccer was invented. Was it in Europe? I don't even know.
I don't know.
Anybody know that answer?
Uruguay.
That would be South America or maybe Central America. I don't know.
I don't know.
I know, again, the audience. Put in the comments if you know or if you have Google. We don't have Google here on the show, obviously.
I'm looking right now.
We have Google gangers, but we don't have Google. But what I wanted to say, though, was props to whoever invented soccer and called it football. It is the world sport, regardless of what we think. But here in America, football starts around this time.
That's right.
They've been in preseason. Everybody's been in the training camp. So what comes with football? Fantasy football. So anybody playing in a fantasy football league this year?
Depends on whether you invite me or
Anybody
not.
I'm not doing a league anymore, man. I couldn't keep up. Anybody ever been in one? I've been in one. I ran
Yeah.
one for a few years. And Scott, you ever been in a fantasy football league?
No. It's never been a fantasy either to be in
Yeah.
a football league.
You ever been the object of a fantasy?
I've been in a fantasy. Yes, I've been in a fantasy,
have?
but not
Okay.
a fantasy football
And
league.
Jared, I know, has, and we have together. Have you
Yeah.
been in one outside of that one?
No, actually, I've been in other fantasy leagues like baseball and basketball.
Yeah. Well, you had brought me into a basketball one. I know.
That's
one
right.
year.
That's
And-
right. But
yeah.
the football league, the one you did, was the only one I've ever done.
Yeah, kind of me too. I mean, I could go into some others. I have an addictive behavior when it comes to that kind of stuff, and I don't want to get all crazy, and I'm very competitive. So I know how much kind of time it takes. And you watch these other guys. I mean, it just takes up all the time.
It's serious business.
It is. It's totally. But what I thought I'd come with today, and listen, good luck and fortune to everybody who's going to be in fantasy football, or even if you're going to do daily fantasy, which is really the big thing now, because you can, instead of being in a season all same team and all that, daily fantasy, basically every weekend, you can draft your own team. It doesn't matter if anybody else is drafting them too, and then you get points based on how they do in the football game. It's mostly offensive players. It's not defense much. There's some leagues where you can allow for defense. There's a defensive team option in the
Offensive players.
most, but players who play on offense, but they're also offensive as the NFL. But the thing is you've got quarterback, running back, scoring positions, right? That they can maybe score a touchdown or gain yards. And then you count points, and then if you have the most points, you can win. You can be in these huge, massive things where you can win $1 million, but you have to come in first. But for 17 weeks, you can win $1 million.
Jeez.
So what I thought, though, would be kind of fun is to look at some fantasy leagues that are not football.
Okay.
Ooh.
So these would be fantasy leagues that are not football, but they operate much the same way. Usually you get a certain amount of money, and then it's not real money. Obviously, you get an amount. You can use that money to draft. Depending on the league in football, you'd be drafting players, and then you score how they do, and then the highest score wins.
Okay.
And sometimes you can play over a season. If they're like in football, there's 17 or 18 weeks, 17 games now. So you can you have a league and you play everybody, depending on the size of your league, anywhere from 2 to even 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And so then you can have a record, and there's playoffs, and there's all that good stuff. So some of these, it depends a little bit. But so number one on my list, and this is from Mental Floss.
All right.
Which, if I imagine and visualize that the same way that every other floss-related thing is, I'm picturing some clothy substance going from one ear to the next, and they were just kind of doing that.
Buffing our
right,
brains with a towel.
Right, because teeth. Well, it's mental floss. It's not groinal floss. But the thing is if we do, you got like what is it? A toothpick you could floss your teeth, or maybe one of those flossy
Mental floss.
But you're going in between teeth, and then if it's mental, you're going like in between your brain or something. Anyway, I think it's obviously a great name, but it just was kind of like what
Giving us a lot
Between
of
your
thought.
brains. Yeah.
Well, I'm giving it a floss. It's a mental floss.
That's right.
And anyway, my
And?
brain smells really good afterwards. What's that?
And
And so here's number one. I looked up just 5 or 6. There was some article that was like 6 alternative fantasy leagues. So to football. If you're not into football, maybe you like Fantasy Music League.
Oh, what?
Fantasy Music
How does
League.
that work?
Well, these are the top songs that would be in an adult film. No, I'm kidding.
What?
Fantasy
Jeez.
Music League. No, I'm
Song
kidding.
voted most likely to be used in it. Never mind.
if you're into listening to the radio, or I'm assuming, depending on the league, I guess it could be even like maybe Spotify or music or Apple Music or something. But
Okay.
the point is that it might be something you'd be into, where basically you compile a roster, and it's all based on the music charts.
Oh, so like
So
the
you-
top 40 or whatever?
Okay, how
And,
they
and
rate.
then, and then you get points or money, if you want to call it that,
Okay.
based on. So you shell out a certain salary to sign the acts, and then if they out earn your competitors,
I
you'll
see.
earn the fantasy world's equivalent
Okay.
of a Grammy.
Oh, so you're like a music producer trying to be the top music
Yeah.
producer.
Sort of, except
But it's
these
fantasy.
are songs that are already out. But
Right.
but yeah, in a sense, how good can your songs do in a particular given week,
Yeah.
right?
So you build a team.
Not to break the conversation, but I have a question.
Yeah.
When you get in the car, everybody, what radio station do you immediately go for?
Spotify.
Spotify?
I start streaming. I don't-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends.
What type of music?
It depends. If I'm at work in my service truck, it's KUSC all day,
Okay.
which is the only California classical station.
Okay.
It's still around.
Okay. Scott, what about you? Be
I
satellite or
have
local?
XM,
Yeah.
I have Sirius XM, so
Me
like
too.
today it was on 80s.
Okay. Is
Some,
that your
some days I do. Some days it's like jazz, watercolors.
gotcha? So whatever the mood strikes.
Yes.
Okay, John.
Scott's kind of moody. If I'm just bumping around town, I usually listen to sports radio. But if it's a longer drive, I'll actually podcast. I mean, yeah, podcast. Sorry.
Podcasts.
Yeah, I'll listen to different leadership and strangely, people are like, you don't sound like a leader, but leadership podcasts, ministry podcasts, some of that kind of stuff. So they
Okay.
usually listen to
Okay.
on a longer drive. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
How about you?
I tend to lean toward. I have satellite as well. For those that know it, The Bridge is probably one of my favorite channels. It's like soft rock hits from the 70s. Yeah, just my music tastes are all over, but that
Like
for me,
Captain and Tennille.
no, not so much. More like
Journey?
Like no, I don't like Journey, but like bands like Bread. Or the Eagles, even some of their softer stuff. They play
Chicago?
a lot of the Chicago. Yeah,
I was
a lot
gonna
of
say,
stuff
and
like-
Boston. Yeah,
Yeah, Boston's more.
they're a little more rock.
Yeah,
harder rock.
A little
yeah.
harder rock. Yeah, but yeah,
Boston,
The Cars.
Chicago.
It's either that or Willie's Roadhouse. I do that too.
Huh.
Yep.
What is that, like blues and stuff?
Classic country, real country music.
Man, that's soft.
Yep.
That puts you right to sleep.
That's soft.
That's right to sleep.
Anyway, I was just curious.
Country's like a box of chocolates. You never know who's going to leave you after you listen to it. They have a fantasy pro wrestling league.
Oh yeah.
They all work the same. So in this
seen
case,
this.
I'm trying to read through it quickly, but it looks like it says web-based e-wrestling federations allow you
Okay.
to draft a stable of grapplers and then receive points for their performance in the ring and
Stable-
appearances on broadcasts.
A stable
Okay.
So
of grapplers.
I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, I know they advertise some, but you're not always sure if your person's going to show up, right? And a TV.
No, unless they promote it ahead of time, and even
Right.
then, card subject to change. So
Right.
right.
So in this is written a while ago. It says they're guessing the Undertaker is the fantasy wrestling equivalent of Peyton Manning. So it tells you how long ago this was written. But, although it's 22, but I don't know why they use those examples. Peyton Manning's
He's
retired,
tired, yeah.
and
he was around the longest.
right. There's a couple. There was a fantasy water skiing, which I don't have time to go into because I don't like it. Fantasy bass fishing.
I got to know how fantasy water skiing would even work.
Well,
Fantasy
is it
water
like competitive water skiing?
no, it's competitive.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
basically getting points. It says
I'm a pro water skier.
how many buoys your slalom skiers pass.
Wow.
Those aren't buoys.
Yeah, right. Those buoys look enhanced.
Boy, look at them buoys.
Look at them boys.
That would be the true sense and where it would be appropriate to motorboat a buoy.
Look at the side of that buoy's head.
Good night, everybody.
buoy's head.
Thanks for coming.
The size of
What, they got
that
is there
buoy. Move your head,
Buoy.
buoy.
is there fantasy frolicking?
I don't know. I did not come across that.
Fantasy Google gangers.
Fantasy underwater basket weaving?
Well, there is fantasy bass fishing
You
though.
say Clearwater basket weaving?
Yeah, underwater.
Underwater basket
underwater.
Fantasy glabella waxing.
Yeah, right. So bass fishing, obviously, they compete to catch big bass and all that, right?
Yeah.
I like big bass and I cannot lie.
I know. So you draft they call them anglers, but they're the fishermen, right? And then you see if, you only have $100 salary cap, so you got to figure out.
Oh.
And then obviously if you're on a site or somebody's organized this, they set amounts on each person. So the favorites cost more and, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Fantasy Congress.
Oh,
Wow.
oh.
That's what we have now.
Is that yeah, it is exactly what we have
My
now.
fantasy is that Congress would just stop.
Well, my fantasy is that we'd actually elect people to Congress that want to serve people,
Right.
and not just
The problem isn't electing; it's getting the people out of there that are already there they're so dug in you can't get them out.
Well, you could with elections, but they keep electing them.
Limits. Yeah.
Everybody keeps electing them, though.
Yep.
See, the term limit only is unnecessary.
You can still get reelected.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, the term limit's unfortunate because what you're saying is the people are too stupid to vote them out.
Right.
So you're taking you're
Yeah,
actually taking power away from the people in some ways. But presidents have term limits, but judges don't. Supreme Court judges, there's some people who don't. Yep. I don't have a problem with it if people just vote smartly, but they don't. So anyway, whatever.
Anyways,
And the Comedy Food Truck Political Hour is brought to you by.
Right. This political moment was brought to you by Trump National.
Hey, we do have a sponsor.
We
do
do?
that.
Really?
Yeah.
We have a sponsor.
We do.
should we go to that? Or
Do we have to? Did this
We do.
sponsor pay us? Is that check cleared?
They did. They totally
Is that
paid us.
check cleared?
bounce
It cleared.
sky?
It cleared twice,
Hi.
actually.
Oh my goodness.
We actually owe them money.
Man, we know the money.
Oh, my
All right. Is this going to start at some point? Is there a cue? Is there music? Whatever.
Whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm Tom Shoddy.
And I'm Bert Crummy.
Have you ever committed a crime and experienced any type of failure with your nefarious crime gear? You may be entitled to substantial monetary compensation.
At the law offices of Shoddy and Crummy, we will fight for you and get you paid.
Contact us today if your great failure caused any of the following:
Blown cover.
arrest,
Missing holes in your ski mask.
the hippie shakes,
Dank boxers.
or cold sweats,
Wearing socks with sandals.
actual face-to-face conversations,
Itchy teeth.
swamp butt,
Wedgie regular or atomic.
rug burns,
Green meat.
or chicken thighs,
Toe jam.
proceeding hairline,
Yes.
Sticky wickets.
dating a supermodel and dumping her because she's too pretty,
Discharge.
quoting Sam Jackson,
Eating fiddle faddle.
listening to Smash Mouth. I
Binge-
like them.
Binge watching Hallmark movies.
Putting your Crocs in sport mode but not doing anything.
Involuntary heart replacement.
Don't wait. Time may be running out to file your claim.
Contact the law offices of Shoddy and Crummy today and get the compensation you deserve.
There's free money. Get some.
Discharge.
No. Discharge.
Wearing socks and
Man,
sandals.
those guys sound like couple winners, man. Top notch.
Putting your Crocs in sport mode.
and not doing
but
anything.
not doing anything. Man, thanks, Shoddy and Crummy.
I'm gonna call them tomorrow.
So number 7 on our list is back to the context of fantasy leagues that are not football. Is there's fantasy dog shows.
Oh.
So you can
Your
pick
favorite sniff spot?
Well, you could pick very unattractive people, and then I'm just kidding.
load your stable full of
Right.
dog faces.
Just go on TikTok or Instagram and just pick.
Swipe left.
These would be social media uninfluencers, but swipe left. Hard pass. No, you pick your breed of dog and then allocate your funds, and then you see how they do, right?
Lift the left leg if you don't want them.
And then the
right leg if
last
you do.
one,
Right.
I was really disappointed in the article because the last
Call
one,
it my dog patch.
it cut off. But number 8 was fantasy eating.
Really?
The only thing I can think of, possibly because it didn't describe it, is like the Joey Chestnut stuff
Yeah,
and all
like
that.
the-
Maybe it's that.
The hot dog eating contest.
Yeah,
that
there's a
type
lot of those eating contests
Right.
everywhere, so maybe that's it.
Yeah.
There's a couple others that I kind of liked that are non-football. Same thing, but these I'll do quicker. But The Bachelor, you can do that.
Okay.
Dancing with the Stars, you could pick the
Oh, how funny.
celebrity. You got to watch the whole season. or maybe it's per week. I don't know.
You
Survivor.
could do it with any kind of
any of those reality type competition shows. You can grab the Oscars.
America's Got Talent.
The Oscars. And again, you could probably do it a couple ways. You could do it week to week.
Right.
Say Dancing with Stars. It could be what order is everybody going to finish. Mm-hmm. But it could be like you pick somebody at the beginning. Are they the winner? Maybe predict first, second, third, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But the one I like the best,
here it comes.
and that's why I saved it, is the Fantasy Movie League.
Ooh.
Again, this is not a league for adult films, but the fantasy movie.
Fantasy
But
movie.
this is actually what you do is you pick and draft movies as they're coming out. You can do this each weekend, really, and then you chart the box office results.
Okay.
And then whoever had the highest box office,
Whoever makes the most money.
And it's not for the overall play of the movie. I think it's week to week. So, you might know, for instance, a couple weeks back when maybe Thor or something else came out, you knew that was going to be number one, but it's also going to cost the most. In the one that I read about rules, you get $1,000, but then each movie gets a certain amount on it.
It's a value put on
You
it.
have to pay that to get it.
Okay.
It might have been $800 or $900 to get Thor because good and well it was going to bring in millions of money. But
it's like odds. You're like playing the odds.
Yeah, so you're looking for the smaller films, the indies and all that might cost you 10 or 20 or $50.
The long shot.
Yeah. Or at least just what's going to hit, even though it's a smaller release or whatnot, or maybe not as many names in the movie.
Yeah, you have to really keep track of what the kind of how the money's coming in and stuff. That'd be interesting.
I would think you even got to track, is this film also being released on streaming?
Yeah.
So are you just charting box office? Is it overall? There's all that kind of good stuff.
Is it based on views or on total revenue?
That's the thing. What are the rules? And that's the same thing as fantasy. You got to know. Sometimes in some leagues, a touchdown's worth 6. I've seen others where it's only worth 4.
Yeah.
I've seen others where the priority's on especially in basketball, the priority might be on things besides points, and sometimes it's not, so you got to kind of know the rules, man. But the other thing I want to talk about real quick for a few minutes, because as I was researching, and I was researching, Scott, not just searching, and I actually went back and also researched.
Thank you.
Searching.
Thank you for clarifying that. I was going to ask you.
Well, I'm just saying I searched more than once.
Searching and researching.
Because I searched more than once. I searched and then I had to research, right.
Got it.
But I downloaded a beginner's guide to LARPing, which stands for live action role playing.
Oh yeah, this is huge.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
I've heard the term, but I don't know anything about it.
So live action role play, or as the insiders call it, LARP.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a combination of collaborative storytelling, art, game, and costuming.
Okay.
So it's a form of role playing where basically the game kind of happens in real time. You kind of stay in character and you just have this game going on. I think there are also rules to some of them and some maybe points or achievements or whatever. But what got me thinking about is when I was in church a few weeks back, my pastor told the congregation about a story where he and his family were just on a kind of a staycation, and they were out for a day trip, and I forget if they're going to the beach, something. And on their way back, they saw this huge crowd of people all driving and pulling over. And he ended up in a Renaissance fair, and he was, but so there were vendors and you could buy food.
I went to a boxing match and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah, and so they had done whatever they were doing, but this was on their way back, and they're like, "Oh, we got time, we'll stop." And he said it was like the weirdest thing he's ever seen, and he was talking to us in our about it later, and I was saying, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, There's Civil War reenactments. Right. There's, I saw it where it was the Revolutionary time period, and they, where were we? Anyway, they reenacted like parts of Virginia and some of these places, but life in that way, like they showed you how to wash clothes and how to make food and different things like that.
Okay,
that's probably more on the tamer end. That's more built for. What's the word I want? Just drive-by people.
Yeah.
But some of these get pretty deep, man. They're doing stuff all the time online, and then they're playing characters, and then characters become celebrities, and it's really kind of odd, right?
People getting hired to be garden gnomes.
Stuff like that.
Ray sent me that video the other day.
Listen,
I gotta post it. Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I was reading through just briefly.
Gnoming. I'm a gnome. I'm gnoming.
Mm-hmm. Man, you're in.
Have you guys ever been to a Renaissance fair?
Yes, once.
Yes, one time.
Yeah. And I think
I had to do it one time.
And they got some of them depends on it, but I know it can get pretty heavy. They can have witchcraft and all this other stuff. But the thing is Renaissance fairs are probably one of the more well-known ones along with the Civil War stuff.
Yeah.
But they've got ones that are completely custom. They've made them up. They're just, So I was just looking through this beginner's guide, and it's kind of cool because they also had a rundown of the difference between LARP or LARPing And then is it
very
cosplay or
educational.
cosplay?
Cosplay. Costume playing.
Costume play, yeah.
But okay, so you guys know some of this, but I thought this would be interesting to read the differences. In LARPing, you design your own character or characters. In cosplay, you imitate the design of characters from existing books,
Right.
and or movies or whatever.
Fantasy, yeah.
Right. So, so Lord of the Rings would be an example. You might dress up and try to play Lord of the Rings. That's cosplay.
There's
but
a
then-
lot of Marvel. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings. A lot of Star Wars is out of control.
Correct. So, and these, so for LARPing, role play and staying in characters required. For the other one, acting is optional but not required.
Okay. I like to put on a fur coat and go outside and play dogs.
Yeah. And right.
Why, Jared? Please explain what is playing dogs.
Right. And just
does
a
that
fur
involve?
coat. Just a fur coat. Right.
What does that involve?
Well, that would be LARPing. To be honest with you, that would be LARPing.
yeah, you can go outside and LARP on the lawn.
Well, leave. What was this word? An asfar or whatever. Yeah. Asfar or whatever it was.
Farf?
Ascot. No. It was,
No, what was
that word from a couple weeks ago?
Zarf?
Zarf.
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 Leave a zarf
Yeah,
on the
Leave a
lawn.
zarf on the
Yeah.
lawn.
Leave a zarf on the lawn.
These guys barking at me?
In LARPing, the costume is functional and can be used for fights.
Right.
The other is the costume is for visual purposes only, cannot be extremely detailed, or can be extremely detailed. And in LARPing, characters revolve around a plot, and the other side characters can exist alone. So, there's just some of that kind of stuff. There's, what is this now? Okay. Oh, MMORPG.
Role playing game. Was it again?
What's MMO?
MMO.
It doesn't even tell me in this. But anyway, there's some
I've heard it.
differences there. Oh, it must be digital, because in the one, role playing is digital social interaction, game immersion online. So it's an online thing.
Yeah.
So multimedia, maybe
Probably.
Okay.
something role playing. Yeah. So I thought it'd be cool, and we'll wrap up with this. There's different categories if you're going to LARP, right? You want to create your own LARPing or whatever else. One is high fantasy. This is a wide scope of what is considered. There is a wide scope of what is considered high fantasy, but basically, sorry, the printing was weird. This setting deals with a lot of magic, from entities to beings. Races range from humans to elves to orcs to trolls to animal people and beyond.
Dwarves.
Yeah. Science fiction is another. What would I say? Not a realm, but genre.
Yeah.
Be another genre. This kind of setting, and this is what you were describing earlier, with like Star Trek and all. This kind of setting can either be futuristic or dystopian and deals with advanced technologies. There can be intergalactic travel, teleportation, spaceships, robots, and more. The third one's historical, so that's kind of the Civil War thing. And all. This is not to be confused. Oh, sorry, it's not to be confused with historical reenactment, so it's not like that. Historical LARP is a reimagination of events that occurred in the past and characters that may not exist or are loosely based on key figures. So I know one that I thought
So
of.
would Civil War and reenactment kind of fall more in that category?
No,
you think?
it's not.
It's not
It's
even
not.
close.
It's probably more like steampunk.
This
Okay.
would be more
I would
like
think,
this would be
yeah.
more like maybe what if Hitler won the World War II?
Oh, I see.
Oh.
I
So
got
then
you.
you would reenact
Okay.
everything based on that.
Oh, okay.
Or what if white people were slaves?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So
Okay.
I think you could reenact, or Africa invaded Europe, that kind of a thing.
Change, yeah. Okay.
Horror is anything that deals with horror. Duh. This game can be used for people who want to LARP vampires, zombies, and other monsters. So that's what you were talking about pre-show, I think, Ray, about all this vampire kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, you crazy LARPing vampire.
Right. And I think it's the last one. 5 is low fantasy. So there's high fantasy, now there's low. The existing races in this genre tend to come from human and myths and legends. There may be magic. Sorry, flip the page. Elements, but it's not as prevalent in high fantasy LARP. I'm wondering if this is like, Viking stuff or whatever. It's
Mythology.
Yeah.
More mythological than
Right.
it is fantasy type magic. Yeah.
possibly, and there's maybe a combination with the historical
Norse
there,
type
but-
legends and
Right,
stuff. Yeah.
right. So rules do exist. There's do's and don'ts, but there's no electronics in LARPing. There's weapons that are inspected. There's a weapons marshal, so you can't really actually knife somebody, stuff like that. But on the other one, if you're just doing, it's don'ts. Sorry, use inappropriate clothing or implements. So you can't bring a 44 when you're doing Renaissance, I guess, or whatever. But I'm a time traveler. You start mixing everything.
Great Scott.
Right. So anyway, I just thought that'd be kind of cool to know. But I guess my question real quick as we end the show, and then I want to talk about my favorite fantasy that's not football. Fantasy league. That it was just so funny.
I was going to say, all right, let's hear it,
just so
John.
funny to me.
I
I
hope
didn't
this
read.
involves chocolate.
Yeah, I didn't read it off earlier, but
It's chocolate and pizza.
is if you were inventing your own LARP, what would it be?
Oh gosh.
Ooh.
Maybe it could be as simple as just a genre. You don't have to
Live
develop the
action
whole thing.
role play.
Yeah, you don't have
Okay.
to develop the whole thing in front of us here, but just like what give me an idea of what you might develop if you were going to do live action role playing. And if it's even something that you'd already exist, like, oh, I'd love to go to Renaissance and be a Renaissance person, but whatever. What would it be for you? I will start.
Go.
I think what I would probably, I don't know. It's intriguing to think of something you would just completely make up, like science fiction or something. But I think I kind of lean toward the historical side, so I might go to like early Rome or some of that kind of stuff. Maybe even Egypt, somewhere in the Mediterranean area, and some of those realms when those areas were big and kind of the center of the world.
Okay.
Would kind of be what I might lean toward. I think.
Okay.
Think that'd be fun. I'd love to go get crucified. I'm just kidding.
Stupid.
Silly, right?
You drew the short straw. You're getting crucified.
I'm gonna say for me, I think it would be something along the Wild West.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
one too.
yeah.
That's a good one.
I like the days, and I looked into actually one over in the Redlands area one time that used to do Western reenactments.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do something like that.
Would you go historical or make up your own realm essentially of
No, I would
Wild
probably
West?
go historical.
Okay. So you'd
Yeah.
use real characters and stuff like maybe research an area with real names. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we know all the big ones, but some of that kind of stuff. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Scott. I hate to take his, but I think that sounds the most interesting to me. But I would think I would make up my own world just to see, almost like I don't know if utopian's the right word or whatever, just kind of build some kind of a ideal situation and just see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, that would be utopian, or it could be like dystopian, which would be sort of like the world has been ended and crushed and we're rebuilding, and it's like the Wild West again. Maybe electronics went out and everything else, so now we're back to hand fights and guns, instead of bombs and
Yeah.
biochemical.
Yeah. See,
You develop a West and go role play and do that. I myself will call you into the square at high noon and shoot you.
pew pew. Pew pew. So I'm the opposite now that I'm thinking about it. I think I would do high concept technology type.
Okay.
Like Tron.
Yeah, really pushing the boundaries of what technology can be, good or bad.
On this world or another
Just a
planet or
made up.
something?
Well, here.
Okay.
But we're talking like 1,000 years in the future. What's going on?
Well, that's why I was asking if it's a different planet.
No. Well, yeah, right. Couldn't even be, might not even be here. But yeah, something like that. That's way out there. Just fantasy type, just high concept fantasy type technology, like digital cyborg type enhancements and things.
Sure.
Kind of like Ghost in the Shell kind of stuff, where you can actually go get, they're replacing organs with mechanical organs. It's like we don't need a liver donor anymore because we make them now and we can put in a mechanical liver.
Kind of the thing you would do
that
is
kind of
there
thing,
would be objectives,
Yeah,
and
right.
sort
So
of
that's what I
scenarios
see
that
it
you would
being,
play out. That's what these
way
guys
out
do.
there. Yeah.
That's what these people do. There's either something to solve or something to go steal or
Right.
somebody
There's
to catch.
objectives. There's
or,
missions.
missions and whatnot, and all of that. So you would just create all the characters in the sort of genre, if you will, and then okay, let's go. And then it's a little bit of improv role play kind of stuff.
Yep.
Right.
It's kind of cool. So
all
my
fluid.
favorite non-football fantasy that I came across league is, and not because I think it's cool, I think it's the end of the world, is gamer fantasy league.
Oh, this is huge.
So if I could set this up, it's already bad enough that what's become huge and multimillionaires are going to kids who sat around their butt all the time and just played video games.
Mastered controllers.
The nerds of the nerds
Yep.
are now making. That's fine. I can accept that because make money for whatever you do. But how nerdy is it that you now get into a league where you obsess over these nerds? How nerdy are you if you now want to draft them?
Yep.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's the same
Guys are
thing.
celebrities, man. They're like athletes.
and it's
Yeah.
no different than athletes because the reason people play fantasy is they wish they were those guys, and so I can be an owner and I can do this. So I guess it's that, but it's like, oh wow, this is where we've come.
Yeah.
Are we going to have like a fantasy band league or something? You know, you could draft your favorite, flautist or flutist? What would you say?
Flautist.
Great. Now I want flautist.
Flautist.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it's funny to me. But anyway, in the feeds, as we wrap up, if you want to throw in maybe the LARP that you would create, or maybe a LARP that you would join, or maybe you have joined, let us know. Maybe you've gone to something like that. Maybe you sit around on Fridays and dress up yourself now in your house. I don't know, but
Not Fridays.
let me know. And whether it's digital or live or how that all goes, it'd be cool to hear about some of that stuff.
Just on Tuesdays when I listen to the podcast.
Right. Wouldn't that be cool if they had a fantasy league for us?
That would be cool.
Like they could draft which player they think will have the
Out of the
funniest
four of us.
moment.
Hey, there you go.
You know, that'd be cool. Or maybe even just deciding ahead of time, the topic will be theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Who's running the
You
show?
know, they could have points for all that. You know, get points if it was their topic. You get points if they said the funny or any joke, maybe the funniest joke. And you know,
Yeah.
who will talk the most? Who will talk the least? You know, all that kind
We
of
know
stuff.
that.
We don't know who will talk the least. We might know who will talk the most. Who will talk the most besides John, who is the host? Look at that dog. What's up, dog?
You could keep track. You could keep. Here you go. Here it is. You keep track of
this
how
pipe
many.
up?
How many
Just
times?
pipe up.
You keep track of how many times somebody laughs. You just keep track. Who's going to laugh
That's
the
true
most?
too. Or how about the
laugh?
most amount of laughs?
Yeah.
The funny thing is,
gotta keep track.
Whoever develops the league is the one who has to find a way to measure all that.
Track it.
and then basically gives points to people.
Jared, when you edit, just put a little counter on it. It's
Oh, yeah.
easy. Yeah, you got
'Cause that
time.
doesn't
You got
sound
time.
tedious or
you got
boring
time
at
to
all.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go through the entire show and watch it.
Maybe
and
that's
count
how-
every laugh.
Maybe
come
that's
on.
how we monetize it.
That could be.
They pay to
Ding,
get
you
into
make
the
a little,
league.
Little
and then,
bell sound every time.
Let's count how many throat clears and coughs Jared edited out this week.
right.
Right.
Anyhow, so thanks for listening, everybody. Throw stuff in the feed. Follow us. Subscribe to us. Share us. Love us.
Love us.
Yeah.
We love you. Now
we
love us.
love you. You love us. That's weird. I kind of pulled that one out, and we went 37 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I get you're welcome
Yes.
for a few of you. We're sorry for the rest of you.
Sponsor was awesome.
Yes.
All right.
That sponsor was
Well,
the
listen,
best.
the comedy food truck calendar's coming out soon, so make sure you get in there because it's chock full of gator.
And don't forget to throw in some of that comedy food truck suntan lotion.
Suntan lotion.
Sunscreen, because it gets hot when you're laughing.
Comedy. Comedy food
Don't
truck.
get burned by the laughs. All right, guys, we're out of here. Everybody say bye.
All right. See you guys.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bye.